I'm going to be logging in. The whole on installation is here as an executable. So if I were to click there, I can log in. But if I accidentally or even on purpose closed out of that little tab and got rid of it, and then I wonder what to do from here because I'm supposed to have the little tab. All I have to do is double click the application installation icon there, and it will take me back to where I was. It'll open up that ribbon again. So I'm logged in into the demo environment right now. So just to quickly let you know what you're seeing here, this little number 7 that you'll also see if I compress the ribbon into this little tab, you'll still see that little number. That indicates new activity for a site that I've got access to. So you'll see that in a moment, but I just wanted you to know what that little red number is. The two areas that I can go into here, the two tiles, are the settings tile where I can, add users or reset passwords or whatever I may need to do there. As an admin, I can go and, within my HIN demo, I could click this as an organization and manage the users that have access to the demo environment. And then I can also, if I go back home, I can also launch the referral tile. So there's the settings tile for things like adding users, unlocking users, resetting passwords, that kind of thing. And then there's the actual referral tile that opens up the referrals window that lets me use the actual application. So if I click that, then you'll see it opens up a referral window for the practice I'm logged into as my default. I have other practices I can also go that I have access to that I can also switch to within the demo environment. I'm going to expand this window a little to make it easier to see. So this happens to be a demo dermatology office. The layout is really very much like Outlook, as you probably have noticed. I can have both sent and received referrals. So similar to, an inbox within Outlook or any other email client where you've got, ways to organize your work over on the left and then a list of referrals, either sent or received, way to search that list of referrals, sorting it, ascending, descending, download the list. And then when I click on one, the detail of whichever one I selected will display over to the right. And then, of course, I can, scroll through if there's more history on it. I can scroll through here. And then there's also a timeline that tells you every step of the way for each referral, where it began, and then what its journey's been like. So what date and time and who created this referral, when it was accepted, when it was scheduled, various things like, message left for a patient, it was assigned to a particular user, it was marked completed. So these are different steps along the way that are recorded in the timeline here. And both sides of the referral will see those updates in real time as they occur. So the sender and the recipient both see those as they happen. There's an actions menu at the top that lets me do different actions depending on where we are in the life cycle of the referral. This is a completed referral, so there's not many actions we can take. If it were a scheduled referral, for example, I have different actions I can take. And I can get into some more of the particulars of this after I'm going to kind of finish giving you a bit of a tour around what you're looking at and how this is all organized. And I'll kind of go through the steps that are followed when someone sends and receives a referral. But just know that all of these particulars, all these action steps, everything I'm about to tell you is also accounted for in our user guides. So those will be a good reference point for you guys as well. Going over to the left here, I will show you how a new referral gets sent. But first, I just want to quickly show you what some of these things are over here to organize the work. The default under all referrals, I've got completed selected here, but I'm going to deselect that. The default statuses that are selected when you first log in generally are pending, accepted, and scheduled. Those are referral statuses that are, sort of still in play. These are active referrals that are still being worked on. The other three statuses, declined, canceled, and completed, are more final state. So once a referral has been declined, you can't go backwards and then decide to accept it. Someone would need to, resend it. Or if you've canceled it, or if you've marked it complete, you don't go backwards once you've hit one of these final stages. However, I could, like I say, I could, have somebody copy and send it again. If I declined it and something changed and they want to have us start fresh, they could easily copy the referral and just push it our way again, and then we could accept it. Up at the top, there is an ability to archive referrals, but only if you're a sender and only if the referral is in one of those final states. So if I have been the one to send the referral and it's reached either declined, canceled, or completed status, I can archive it. We generally tell people there's no need to archive unless and until you feel you're never going to need to access this again, usually because it was done in error. So people don't need to get this down to like inbox 0 or something, because the idea here is, say this dermatology practice wants to download their list of referrals that they've received over the last couple of months and, kind of look through, where are we getting our referrals from? How are we doing with responding? That kind of thing. What's the number of referrals we're getting through this tool? We don't want to have put them away forever. Even the sender being the one that's archiving it, you don't want to lose track of how many referrals are we sending out. So generally we tell them, don't archive it unless it is done in error and you just want it off your list because it truly it shouldn't be in the mix. We do also have some sent referrals by this practice because maybe the dermatology practice needed to send on to the plastic surgeon or the oncologist if they found something, that kind of thing. So this practice might be both a sender and a receiver. So they've got their sent referrals on one tab and the received referrals on another. And I mentioned that red number 7 there indicates new activity. That new activity is represented here in this new activity group. So I've got 2 new activity items, but that doesn't match my number 7. Well, that's because the other 5 are in the sent list. So that number displayed on the tab is actually combined new activities for both my sent and received. Just showing you've got things you might want to check out that are new for you to acknowledge. So since I'm already on, I'll go back to the others real quickly, but since I'm already on a new activity as a topic here, then if I click on new activity, it'll take me to those items that have new activity. And in this case, they're both pending referrals. I can see with the little dot that they're a pending referral. If I select it, you'll see it's a pending referral. And I need to take an action with them. But we'll get into that in just a moment because I want to send a referral and then I'll show receiving that referral. So pending referrals or messages or newly declined, newly canceled, those are all new activities that will show up as items you need to make sure you notice. So I'm going to click back on all referrals just to show you that view again. Really quickly, I'll go up here to my watch list. That is just, you see where I've got a couple starred here. That's a place where I can star any referral I'd like to, and it'll get added to my watch list. If I'm done watching this one, because it's old and I no longer need to, we've long since resolved this one, I don't need to do anything with that, I can deselect the star and it'll fall off my watch list. I can also deselect the star from within the full list, and it will also fall off my watch list. That's only going to be for me logged in as me. I'm the only one who sees my watch list. Assigning is a different thing. Assigning, everybody can see this one's assigned to Gary. This one's assigned to Katrina. And we can filter on that as well. So if I want to see just those assigned to me, I can use these filters here and click assign to me, and it just shows me what's assigned to me. I can either deselect that or X out. Either way, it removes that filter. If I want to see those that are assigned to Katrina, because Katrina's out right now on maternity leave, maybe we need to make sure we check on which ones she had been working on. We can use the search menu up here, put in Katrina's name and say, I want to filter on who this is assigned to and find referrals that are assigned to Katrina. I can also use the search menu, as you noticed, I'm sure, to find a patient by name. The other filters below here are, of course, any that are unassigned. If we wanted to make sure we do assign them so that we've got somebody, that's owning each of these. We don't have to use that. That's just available for folks to use if it helps them in their workflow. I can also use the urgent filter to find any that have been marked urgent by the sender. So if I click on that, you'll see I get this one that's got this red bar. The urgency can only be indicated by the sender. When they send the referral, they can check a little box that says it's urgent, and I'll show that in just a second. If the patient has not been marked as aware of the appointment, when we mark it scheduled, then that little orange cone would show up on it. Any that have messages, I can filter on. So let's see, these ones have messages. That will tell you there are messages in this chat here. And this feature right here, this message feature, is one of the most popular features of this tool, that folks don't need to call each other back and forth and play phone tag. They can ask questions. Either the recipient of the referral or the sender can ask questions back and forth, or add a clarifying statement or an FYI. In this one, you can see they asked, were any x-rays done? And then I can also filter on any that have attachments, which most referrals do have attachments, because they'll have at least the referral questionnaire that was required when they referred to us. But there are also generally records that are requested to be attached to referrals that are sent in the live environment. So generally you'll see there's going to be office notes, maybe some lab results, that kind of thing, that are listed in the attachments over here. And also those will show up in the chat window. If I want any of those filters to go away, again, I can X out of them or I can deselect. The favorite partners down here, this is where I can determine that there are certain practices that are favorites for me, and I want to be able to filter my list based on that they came from this partner, or if I'm on my sent list, that they were sent to this partner. So the other thing I haven't shown you yet, and then I'm going to show you sending a new referral and then receiving a referral, is the large view work list. This little icon here will allow us to take this list here of 5 referrals, or we could look at all our referrals, and now we're looking at 10 in this case of this practice. And I can see it in more of an Excel format. So if I click this, it takes that same group of 10 and it displays them in a spreadsheet format. This is very popular because then people can sort by any of the headers at the top and easily find groups of things, or referrals for a patient that maybe had 2 referrals for one patient, that kind of thing. And then once I have found what I want, or I can even use the search menu, then I can navigate back to that referral very easily just by clicking on it. I can also download the list from here if I'm satisfied this is the list I want to download. I can kind of play with it first and then download it. So anyone that I click takes me right back to that referral. Okay. So if I want to send a new referral, I'll just go ahead and send it from this dermatology practice. And then I'll show you how I can, when I have access to more than one location, how I can toggle to that other location by going back to my tab over here. So if I hit new referral, it's going to start a new referral, and you'll see that I've got some red asterisks. Those are our required fields. So I would have to fill in the basic patient demographics of name, gender, date of birth, and then some contact information. And then below that, I've got some other things that are not marked as required, like insurance or supporting party, if it's a child, for example. I'm going to go ahead and search for an existing patient. All of our demo patients are in here with the last name of test. So I will go ahead and just choose one of those test patients to refer. And now you can see my red asterisk is gone here because it satisfied all those required fields. But I certainly could be, comparing with my patient record in my EMR, on a split screen. Is this still their address? Is it still the phone number? That kind of thing. I can go ahead and add insurance and say that it is Blue Care Network and it's a commercial insurance. It's optional to put the start date and policy and group number. So I can actually stop at that amount of information. And then I could add a supporting party if I chose to. At this point, if I tried to send a referral, obviously it won't let me because I didn't finish anything else, like where would I like to send it, right? So you can see it says here my details are required before I could do anything else. So that's another asterisk I've got there. So my next step would be to click that tab. And this is where I would say who my referring provider is and where I would like to send this referral. I can search here by the name of a provider, by last name, or the location, so name of the physician practice I want to send to, or whatever other, location. It might be another community service type place that's also using a referral tool, like the YMCA for diabetes classes or something, or the specialty, type in surgery or orthopedics or physical therapy, and I could find by any of those criteria. If I click in this field, the things that will display first for me are any favorites I set, which there's the little box I can check to make it a favorite. Any favorites I've already selected to save that way, or my most recent few that I've sent to, or I can then scroll through as well. Or like I said, I can also type the name of a practice, or excuse me, a specialty type, and it'll give me different types of surgery. If I say just type surgery, I've got orthopedic surgery, general surgery, etc. In this case, I'm going to choose general surgery. That is already marked as a favorite. If it weren't, I could check the box and it would make it a favorite. The next required fields are condition and reason for referral. Condition would be the problem that they're having. And the reason is, what would you like us to do for this person? So say this person has a cyst and we'd like consult for surgery. That satisfies those fields. I could indicate that it's urgent if I wanted that red tab to be on this referral and mark it as urgent. If it required authorization by insurance, I can put that in there. And then I can put any miscellaneous comments that I would like to add. And then I still can't send it anywhere because there's a questionnaire that's required by this practice. And so I still can't send it until I've satisfied the required fields of their questionnaire. I can, however, at this point, save a draft. So if I were to get interrupted or realize that I don't have all the information I need for this, but I don't want to lose my work I've done so far, I could save a draft and it will then take me back to my work list, but it'll land me on that draft folder and with my referral here selected. If I were going to come back to it later, I could always just go do other work and then come back to my draft. But if I'm, went ahead and went to lunch, came back, now everything's ready to go, or my interruption, is past and I can get right back to this, I can then just go in and edit my draft and we're right back where we were. So then I just go to the questionnaire And you see that the practice I selected to refer my patient to has set up their page how they want it to look with information for senders to see. Everybody who participates in our referral network and is planning to receive referrals sets up their own inbound referral form that includes whatever detail they'd like at the top and whatever questions they need answered. In this case, this just has some sample questions that we've put together that we use in training to show people these are some possible things you might want to consider putting on your questionnaire. So urgency of the appointment, what kind of care, anything you're attaching, and we can also encourage them by saying, we prefer to receive these documents. Please let us know what you're sending. So I could put, whatever it is that I'm going to attach. I can do, as you can see, I can do radio buttons where you can only choose one, or I can do a checkbox group where I can choose all that apply. And then I can also have drop-down menus. And we tell people if you've got more than one location, you may want to give folks the option of not just choosing one or the other, but make sure they can choose first available. And then non-required fields, so no asterisks on it, allows you to enter a free text. And then special needs, they can indicate. We do recommend people ask that question because that's something that's part of patient-centered medical home criteria, is to be able to express to a specialty office what special needs your patient may have if you're a primary care practice referring a patient. And then does the patient know about this appointment or this request? So now that I've satisfied all the required fields, you can see I could now send it. If I still left one out, whoops, let's see, where's that? If I left one out, I'd still be stuck, can't send it. So you have to hit all those until the asterisks are gone. I did say I was going to attach records though, so that's where I would go to the attachments tab. I'd click the plus sign and just browse for my files that I had parked somewhere in a folder to grab and attach to my referral. So now you can see Superman's referral is in pending status on our sent tab. It's landed me here looking at my referral to make sure I'm satisfied with it. If for some reason I realize I forgot something, I can always edit until they've accepted it. I can edit something like, in the demographics of the patient, I can edit things. I can edit questions I answered in the questionnaire, but once they've received it and accepted it, I can't make those edits any longer. I can, however, always attach things. If the labs came in, for example, and I want to make sure I attach those, I can attach them after I've sent the referral and they'll see them as a new item attached. I can also add a message in here with some other clarifying information. I can also go to the actions menu at this point and do a couple of different things. I could, again, hit the edit area from this menu as well. I could copy this and send all of this patient's information and the attachments to another recipient. So I could, if this person were going to 2 different practices, I could save some time and hit copy and also send to another recipient at the same time. I can cancel it if we realize we made an error or if we learn this patient doesn't need this any longer. And I can assign the referral to myself as a staff person, if that's our protocol, that, hey, every referral you send, you assign to yourself. I could hit assign and go ahead and assign it to myself. And then you'd see that gets added in the timeline. And then I'd be able to filter on that and know that these are mine, the ones I've assigned to me, I can follow up on. Flip over to this surgical office so you can see what this referral looks like on the receiving end and what steps we'd take when we receive it. So to do that, I click on settings, and then click on my name, and I can switch organizations. And I have all these other offices that I also have access to as a user. So if I click on the surgical office, it's going to change my window, the referral window, to the surgical office. And if I go to the Receive tab, there is Superman's referral. You can see it says accept or decline here. Really, the only thing we can do is either assign it, view it, or go here and accept or decline, or send a message. Those are the things available to us. So if I don't know yet whether I'm going to accept or decline it, the first thing we tell folks to do is to go to the Actions menu and view the summary document of this referral. That summary will open a view that gives you all the details of who sent it and when, what status it is, what's the problem they're having, and then all the patient demographics, insurance, and then all of the answers to our questions on our questionnaire. So it's all in one place. So it also will tell you if there's any communications, the steps in the timeline, all of those are in one package here. You can print this if it needed to be, given to somebody to review first before we accept it. But if I've reviewed it and now I know I can make a decision, I can just close this summary and go ahead and either accept or decline. If I'm still not satisfied, I've got enough to go on, some things maybe not clear, then I can use the chat feature to say, I'm not sure what insurance this is that you typed in, or something to that effect. Or we have a question about the problem you said the patient has. We're not sure this is the right office for them to see, things like that. So they can't always message before they make a decision. But if for some reason they did say need to decline this, I could hit decline and it gives me a drop down of reasons. So maybe we don't take that patient's insurance, or we don't treat folks within that age limit. Maybe we don't see kids. They're outside of the area what we treat, things like that. Or I can hit other and type in a reason. I'm going to cancel that though and not decline this so you can see what we do once we accept it. So when I accept it, it's going to say, first of all, it's going to try to match this patient here to one that's already in our list and ask if it's the same person. In this case, it is, so I would match it. But if it's not, you could just accept it. So in this case, we've done this test patient before, so I'll go ahead and do that and then accept. And then it matches those two patient referrals together as part of the same person. And now you can see it's accepted, and it shows accepted in the timeline here and in the window and in the little indicator here. And the sender would see this update in real time. So I can also assign this referral on the receiving end as well. Even though it's already assigned on the sender side, I could assign it to someone different on our side. So both sides can assign it and just see their own assignment from within their own referral window. Now, the next step I would take would be to reach out to this patient and get them scheduled. So in order to do that, they would want to go to the patient information, for example, and look for the phone number. They can also go back to that summary document we looked at, but this is also another way they could see that patient's contact information, get them on the phone, go ahead and schedule them in their scheduling system, and then update the referral in the actions menu as scheduled. If they reached out to Superman and got his voicemail first, they can first say, okay, I'm going to at least say I've marked that the patient was contacted, and that will get added as well in the timeline. They can add this to a watch list if they had to leave a message and I said, give me a call back. I could add it to my watch list by clicking that little star, and then I know to keep an eye on whether I've gotten a call back from him. Let's say he calls right back. We get him scheduled and I want to mark his appointment date. I go to the actions menu, hit schedule appointment, choose the date he is scheduled and the time. And I can either arrow the time or click and select whichever I would like, or I can type the time as well. And I can toggle AM, PM. And I can indicate that we spoke with him and he's aware of this appointment. If I don't indicate that, and I schedule appointment and I forgot to check that, this is where that little orange cone would show up to say, hey, this patient isn't aware of the appointment. So right here it says that little orange cone will say they don't know about this. If I hover over it, it says they're unaware. I can fix that if I did that in error, because generally we say recipients of referrals should be the ones contacting the person and scheduling with them. So I can say, okay, no, they do know about this appointment. And the little orange cone will go away and that message gets added in the chat window and also in the timeline. So now we just wait for January 18 to arrive and make sure that Superman shows up for his appointment. And assuming he does, we can, as the recipient, go ahead and mark this referral complete as our next step. If he calls us back and decides that he wants a different day, we can reschedule and put a new date on his referral. If he calls us and says, I no longer need this, I went somewhere else, or I'm magically better, we can cancel this. If he no-shows for his appointment on the 18th, we can mark it a no-show and it'll add that message to the chat window. And then we could give him a chance to reschedule at that point, and then we could go to reschedule here and mark the new date. So once we would get it to the completed state, so you see there's completed ones here, then you'd see that it changes to completed, and a reason for completing the referral is also indicated with a drop down, just like we have with declined. So if I were to go to my scheduled referral and decide to complete this, I would have to say why I'm completing it. That we treated him or any other reason. And again, it's got other, and a reason can be typed as well. In this settings wheel here within the referral window, this is where I could go ahead and edit my inbound form as the surgical office, but all users do also have another item that shows up when they click this, which is that they can receive email notifications when they get a new referral. So that is just on the topic of, whether they have to check first to see if they've got a referral. Recipients of referrals can know that they got a new referral by selecting that they want to get that email notification. If I wanted for my surgical office to edit that questionnaire I showed you earlier when we were sending to this practice, I can go here to settings and go to the inbound referrals form, and it'll open up that page you saw before and all of my questions. And I could edit any of these if I hover over it, I can edit. The paragraph at the top is probably the thing that is the trickiest for people, because if I go to edit this, you'll see it opens up a content window, and you have to put in your own breaks and bold type and such in order to get it laid out like I've got it here rather than a run-on thing. So our guide does include those breaks and bold type and such instructions, because a lot of people are not versed in doing this stuff, of course. So our guides do show how they can do that. And we also in our guides show how they can add a hyperlink to their website, how they can add a logo at the top like I've done here. I can close this if I'm done editing. I can move things around by just dragging the question up. I can get rid of a question. I can edit any of my radio buttons or add another one.